Good afternoon from Lagos, Nigeria. Good morning and good evening to everyone on this event from different parts of the world. It's good to have you here. My name is Nii Sanusi. I'm a member of the Global Chamber. I'm also a member of the Africa Continental Legal Alliance. So I'm wearing dual caps today. We are happy to have you join us on this event, this Globinar on Southern Africa trade and investment. I'd like to welcome you all by introducing you, for those who are not fully abreast of who he is, to Doug Bronke. Once Doug introduces himself properly, I would ask my colleagues to take over. Doug Bronke is the founder of Global Chamber, and thankful to him and the team, Cesar, Jem, and the others at the back end, we are able to bring this from the African continent to the rest of the world. So, Doug, a little bit about you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nii. Really appreciate it. This is such an important topic, investment and trading and talking about this region, more broadly, Africa, is also critically important for not only the people within the region, but for the world. I have been blessed in my career, originally a chemical engineer with the DuPont company, to be assigned on international assignments. 38 plus years ago, I visited South Korea, 1987, the year before the Olympics, the 88 Olympics. And I saw Korea at an earlier stage, undeveloped, relatively undeveloped stage, and which was amazing, by the way. It blew my mind. And I realized that day I woke up on a Sunday morning with snow on the ground in Seoul, that this was my calling. I needed to be global. And I watched South Korea evolve over 38 years in extraordinary ways. Never could have imagined it back, nearly 40 years ago, how it's evolved. And then subsequently, through work that I've done the last 15 years, watching Mexico develop the technology within their people, the young people being educated in technology and then being used for outsourcing technology work into the US at a higher value and a higher level, and help bring up Mexico from a very nascent industry to a multi-billion-dollar industry of supporting other people. And so that exporting aspect and training and coordination between public and private industry and government is so essential for I've seen it work in Korea directly. I've seen it work in Mexico. So when I view the world today, I see Africa as the big opportunity. And this region we're talking about today is an amazing opportunity. It's going to require all sorts of things happening all at once. It's not going to happen all at once, but it does require dedication and thought. And the professionals in this room are the key people to be able to articulate what's going on and then actually move things. They're already moving things forward. Let's keep moving it together. So today's purpose is really to have this conversation and have future conversations that move things forward. And by the way, not just conversations. One of the maybe partially because of my own life journey, I'm not a talker. I'm a doer, or I believe in doing. That's where it really takes. And I also believe in that every part of the world needs to be involved in trade. Everyone needs to recognize they have full capability to do whatever they want to do. It takes education and a variety of other aspects. And so I'm really pleased, Nii, that you've pulled us together today for this important conversation, hopefully one of many, to be able to move us forward or help move us forward to identify the opportunities and then work together going forward. Thank you so much for the opportunity to kick this off. I turn it back to you and the team.
Yeah, thank you very much. Always a privilege to address a global audience of this nature. So thank you so much. We'll hit it right off immediately. But before we come to the continent, Africa, we're going to start in the US for a number of reasons. One of which is because Global Chamber is primarily a US-based organization anyway. And so we're also trying to leverage quite a lot of opportunities at the US. And so I'll be introducing Jeff Dar. But before then, I just want to ask that if there are events, if there are questions that you're not able to get full answers to in the course of the event, because we will have Q&A later. We're going to circulate email addresses and then our LinkedIn page for you to be able to connect with us post-event. So there are questions or things you need for follow-up, we'll be able to channel them to the right person after the event. But for now, I want to ask Jeffrey to come on stage, and then thereafter we'll take my colleagues from the continent. Thank you, Jeff.
Oh, thank you, and hello, everybody. So, by the way, I happen to be a U.S.-based international lawyer in Los Angeles, but I'm going to talk about Africa because that's what we're doing today. So, what I'm going to try to do for everybody very quickly is to give some perspectives for purposes of investment with the Southern African development community, which is our focus today, and how to attract investment by making it safe, and also how to make investment work, whether it's from outside of the African continent or within the African continent. So I'm going to talk about the majesty of international commercial arbitration and in the context of Africa. So with that, some of this you may be very familiar with, some of you, some may not be. But what is international commercial arbitration? Why is it relevant to the African continent? It's a worldwide system of cross-border commercial dispute resolution based on contractual agreement and international treaties. It creates a fair forum for all parties and avoids the risk associated with having disputes being heard in foreign courts, whether they're within Africa or outside of Africa. And unlike court judgments, international arbitration awards, the result of any dispute, are generally enforceable around the world. So let me focus on that key point, because that's sort of the important takeaway for anybody who's listening today as to why, for attracting and making investment in the Southern African development community work, a reality. So first of all, if we were to do nothing, anyone's investment agreements, international transactions, whether it's intra or external investment outside of the African continent in Africa, you're going to have the result going to a court someplace, whether you specify it or not. And that makes it then, if it's international, subject to lots of different whims of local courts. And what I'm going to be talking about is why international arbitration is probably what you're going to want to do to make people feel safe investing. And this is, again, whether it's the intra the continent or outside and going into the continent. So going back to the 1950s, there's been an international treaty called the New York Convention, which, unlike court judgments, where if you have a court judgment and somebody has their assets in another country, you have to then get your court judgment, then you have to go to the foreign court or courts and get that judgment recognized. There's no treaties. It's wild, unpredictable. Unlike international arbitration, which is subject to a treaty that 174 plus countries and nations are members of. And to bring it local, the contracting states for the area we're talking about today includes everybody. So, for example, Botswana became a ratifier of this International Arbitration Treaty, the New York Convention, back in 1971, well established. Lesotho, 1989, long time in today's context. Mozambique, 1998. South Africa, 1976. Zambia, 2002. Zimbabwe, 1994. So let me further explain and connect dots for everybody. So basically, what is international arbitration? It provides a private, so you control the resolution of contract disputes, and frankly avoids contract disputes because people will know that contracts can be enforced. So if somebody makes an investment and fails to perform, they will know they are likely to be held accountable, therefore they will perform. If they may not be held accountable, who knows what happens. International arbitration is not court litigation. It's court supervised, not at all. It's not mediation. It's designed to seek disposition, not settlement. It creates a forum for a decision by one or more neutral arbitrators that the parties can pick. It's typically governed by specialized rules, and there's a lot of international tribunals in addition to applicable national laws on international arbitration. It's often administered by an arbitral institution that's experienced in international disputes. And you can agree to it in your commercial contract, which is best, or after dispute arises. And it relies on the contractual international treaty mechanisms for enforcement. So if we were in the default of not having an agreement to arbitrate, we're to be in a court. And there you have concerns about neutrality, risks of local bias, prejudice by judges, jurors, risks of corruption. You may have lack of knowledge, limited skill set of local judges. If you have different legal systems, substantive procedural issues may not be well known. If you have different language issues, which is very common, that may create a problem if you're in a court someplace. Inconvenient location, international arbitration, you pick the location versus having to be in who knows where. If you're in court, it's often public and you get public scrutiny. And as I mentioned in the very beginning, you have very limited international enforceability. The advantages of international arbitration, you get awards that are binding. You don't get an appeal unless you create an appeal process, so you're done. You have neutrality because you're not limiting yourself to national rules. You get to select the arbitrator, so you control the parties' fates if there ever is a dispute. You have procedural flexibility. If you're in a civil law or common law country, you can design and have a mechanism that works for everybody versus subjecting someone from a common law country into a civil law jurisdiction and vice versa. You can pick skilled arbitrators or even require them in your investment contract. What I mean by that is you can pick people with specific experience in the industry or with international disputes or specific technical skills versus a local judge who may have zero experience with any of the issues that may arise. You can choose the law and have certainty over what choice of law will actually govern. You can choose the language so you can control it versus being subjected to whatever court you may end up being in. You can pick your location. I'll talk about that just a little bit more in a second. You have, this is a big plus, especially if it's a technology type of investment, you have confidentiality of proceedings. And in many courts, completely public records, anything filed with the court, anyone can get a copy. In international arbitration, it's confidential, including whatever may be filed in exhibits and documents if you ever have a dispute. It should be speedier and should be much less expensive. I'm in the US. One of the things people avoid investments dealing with the US is you get subjected to what really is scorched earth discovery, meaning everything is discoverable. Very expensive, very intrusive. International arbitration, you do not have US style discovery. You just have what everyone else in the world generally does, exchange of information for purposes of what documents and witnesses are going to be used at a dispute resolution hearing. As I mentioned earlier, there's no appeal process, so you get much quicker binding finality, and you have only limited local review as to the process itself, all governed by a treaty, so all, again, predictable as to the likely outcome versus essentially not having any idea what may happen if you're in one or more different local courts looking at a court judgment that you have when you want to try to enforce it. And you also have multi-jurisdictional enforceability because of the reality of the established treaty. Let me quickly talk a little more about the African continent and just some thoughts, because I know I have limited time, and I'm happy to answer questions and discuss things further later. I'm just giving an overview now. So for the purposes of today's topic, if you familiarize yourself and make sure you have somebody in your team, whether you're in the African continent or you're outside of the continent or different countries within the continent. You want to have somebody in your team who's familiar with how to structure in your investment treaty or international transaction a smart, usable dispute resolution clause, which addresses the things I've mentioned so that you really avoid disputes. It'll give confidence to the parties using international arbitration that and if you have a good provider, it'll give trust to everybody that if there is a dispute, it will be handled professionally well and be focused and should be efficient. Some of the things I will just mention is international arbitration is very quickly developing, and a lot of practitioners and growing number of really great arbitrators based in Africa. So at one time I would have told you, don't choose an African seat, but you can choose any seat. And what I mean by seat is, where is the international arbitration going to be actually seated for purposes if there's ever an issue of a local court? So you want to pick a court that is going to be arbitration friendly and familiar with enforcing international arbitration versus one that has no idea what that may be. At the same time, you could choose an African seat, meaning the dispute will be heard in whichever country you may pick, but you could also pick a neutral place. You can pick Singapore, you can pick Los Angeles, you can pick New York, you can pick London, you can pick Tokyo, you can pick anywhere you want. And again, choice of law, really important, I think, for international investment. And the African continent, it really is a growing region. You also want to pick a tribunal, especially if you're dealing with technology that has emergency arbitrator rules, which is now more and more likely to be the case. But there's little things to think about so that if there's a issue over confidential information that you may want to restrict its usage or trade secrets, you have the ability to do that very quick and fast in an international arbitration versus going to a court. And the last thing I'll mention is just to give an idea of the growth of international arbitration in Africa. There is the 12th East Africa International Arbitration Conference coming up September 25 and 26. Sure, Ni is well familiar in Abuja in Nigeria, but it's the 12th annual. So international arbitration is not new to African continent, and I'm here to help everybody make it part of why your investment agreements, international transactions will work if one of your partners happens to be based in one of the countries we're focusing on today in Africa. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Really insightful. I'm sure there'll be a few questions later for you. In the meantime, I have a few colleagues, two other colleagues who are supposed to help me in this, who are supposed to support my work on this panel. Naomi, Kasimoy, and Fineto Dieng, they're both in Nairobi. I wouldn't know if they've joined. They're meant to support this. If you have, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll just head to the next speaker, Danny Goosen from Botswana. Danny, please go ahead.
Good evening, Nia. I'm here. I have
Oh.
joined. Yeah, and I
All
would
right.
like, if you allow me, I would like to introduce our fellows from the African continent, so that I take it off your hands. So I'll just introduce Danny Goosen, who is an attorney in Botswana. Danny Goosen practices general corporate and commercial law, and is going to take us through what it is like to structure your business in the SADC region, with a keen interest in having a regional headquarter in Botswana. So let Danny Goosen introduce himself more and take us through. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you, everybody. What a pleasure and honor to be here today. Thanks, man. Well, let's start with Botswana. Botswana is, okay, just a little bit more about myself. I've been practicing as an attorney for more than 30 years. I specialize on the commercial side, setting up structures in Botswana for mostly foreigners, as it is quite advantageous for foreigners to set up their structures in Botswana and gain entry into SADC and also Africa from Botswana. So here we go. The first thing is Botswana, for those of you who don't know, is quite central in Southern Africa. It's a landlocked country, but it's in the center, and the HQ of SADC, the Southern Africa Development Corporation, is also situated in Gaborone, the capital of Botswana. So the question would be, why Botswana? And if you look at Africa as a whole, Botswana is very stable. That is politically, the economy, everything is stable. It's the longest standing democracy in Africa, and each and every time it was necessary, in other words, when a term expired, elections was held. There was no coups, there was nothing like that. In fact, last year, for the first time, the ruling party was ousted in an election. They were in power for, I think, 54 years. And the opposition took over. It was smooth. There's no problems. There was no riots, nothing. It worked like a democracy should work. Also, when one look at Africa, there's always the question of safety and security. Where are we situated? Now, Botswana is one of the most secure and safe countries in Africa, and it's also rated as the least corrupt country in Africa. It's got an excellent top sovereign credit rating, and also the inflation is very stable. But I think for you, one of the most important issues is taxation. Botswana has got the lowest taxation rate of all countries on the African continent. I think you all know there are some of the islands which are a bit lower, but on the continent, Botswana is number one. Also, which makes it very attractive, is the fact that, and I must say as a lawyer, the rule of law is working. The courts are working, and I think that is the start-off point for any business. If you know things are working, and there's a very good banking sector, banking systems, as well as information and communications technologies. In fact, Botswana is rated 103 out of 143 countries in the Global Readiness Index. The infrastructure is excellent. There's world-class dams, roads, whatever you need, it's here. And as I've said, the rule of law is applicable, and therefore there's investor protection. The population is highly literate, skilled, and English is also the language used in government and wherever you go. But I think one of the most important issues in making a decision where to start off in Africa is the fact that Botswana does not have any exchange control. Now, I know for someone in the US, it's quite a strange issue because they're not used to that. So what one must realize is, if you enter the African market and you want to transfer money to a bank account and you end up in, let's use South Africa as an example, then the South African Reserve Bank has got plenty of regulations in place, and it could take weeks to months for the money to be released in South Africa. It doesn't make sense. They want foreign currency, but there's all the red tape. Whereas in Botswana, you can open a bank account in dollar, euro, pound, the way you want it. There's no waiting on the money. It comes in, it will be released, provided obviously that you comply on all the compliance issues such as source of funds, etc., etc. But that's not the point. The point is there's no exchange control, which makes Botswana also very attractive, is it's on Central African time. So it's very central, you know, if you're in the US or Hong Kong, it's just a couple of hours difference. It's not these extreme time lapses, so it's easy to do business. You can find the person in action most of the time. But that's the background. Now, there are certain, structures in place, not in place, but available in Botswana. And the first one I really like to promote is the Botswana International Trust. Now, the Botswana International Trust is a trust. It's a common law trust which works in the sense that if all the beneficiaries are not citizens of Botswana and the income of the trust or the money flowing into the trust are from a foreign source, then the trust is not taxable. Now, it makes it much more open for usage, as there are not too many regulations putting a hamper on such a trust. So your client, yourself, could be a trustee. The trust could have a bank account. As I've said, the bank account can be in US dollars. So the real opportunity lies there in that you can transfer money into this trust. You are a trustee. You are in charge of your own trust's bank account. But then if you invest the money wherever in the world outside of Botswana, all that income is then tax-free. So you can create a vehicle in which you can then grow your wealth, and it's tax-free. And then obviously, like for any trust anywhere in the world, when the money is paid out to a beneficiary, he or she will be taxed according to the jurisdiction where they reside. So it's really, and it's the other thing is, I would say it must be the cheapest. I don't like to use the word because then people think cheap, but it is what it is. Due to the value of the pula against the dollar and the euro, it's really one of the cheapest jurisdictions, but it works. And we run a company, Swiss Africa Fiduciary, and we manage trusts in there, and I can speak from experience. It works, and our clients are happy. As I've said, it's cheap. They can make their investments where they want to, and they grow their wealth offshore. But there are other opportunities as well in Botswana, like if there are CSAs, but I don't think that is really the object of this meeting tonight. A CSA is a special economic zone, and it could be that you have a tax holiday, and they all differ. So if one would like to get involved, you can contact me for a specific area, and I can send you what the different criteria are and what the benefits would be. There's also an IFSC available in Botswana. It's an international financial services company. Now, such company is based on the Dublin model. And I think you all know that Alphabet and all these huge corporations are incorporated in Dublin. Now, Botswana has used that exact model, and it is available. So it's an excellent tool if you want to set up a regional headquarters for Africa. The tax rate is only 15%, and then there's no capital gains tax, and a lot of other benefits. And yes, in the end, I can carry on the whole evening, but Nee is going to get angry at me. But please, if there's any queries, you're welcome to contact me. And again, it was a privilege to speak to you. And really, Botswana is the place to be if you want to enter Africa. And I'm there to assist you in your journey. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Danny, and we will be taking the questions after. So
Thank you.
I'm just going to introduce our next speaker from Lesotho. Matsapelo Kanono will take us through trade and opportunities, including the processes and procedures in Lesotho. So Matsapelo, you can introduce yourself some more and take us through.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. I prepared some slides. Nii, if you could assist to project them.
I don't know if Nee is with us.
He's just
Maybe I can
disappeared.
share it. I can share it.
Okay, do you have it?
Better. Okay. Yes, I have it. Okay, one moment.
Okay. So I prepared the slides to make it easier. For the participants maybe to refer back after our meeting. They can reach out if they want to have the slides. So yes, I'm the Deputy High Commissioner of Lesotho. I'm based here in South Africa at our High Commission in Pretoria.
Okay.
Can you go to the next?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Okay. This one. Let me just share.
Or perhaps maybe I try to share from my side. Oh. Are we winning or not?
Hold on. Okay, just one more. Yeah, yes. I'm just having trouble with the next slide thing. Okay, just a moment. Hold on.
Okay, so I was instructed to share a little bit of a background on myself. I was admitted as an advocate for Lesotho in 2004 and admitted as an attorney in Lesotho in 2009. I've done my postgraduate diploma in nuclear law. I suppose most of us have noticed that within SADC, recently we have had the governments have had an interest to introduce nuclear power and also to really integrate the use of nuclear technologies within the economy. Didn't want to stay behind. So I made that decision to study nuclear law in 2015. And after that, I was the National Liaison Officer of the International Atomic Energy Agency. I suppose also that some of you might be aware of it. It's headquartered in Vienna, Austria. And it is the main UN organization that assists member states in development of nuclear power, amongst others. I'm the investment and trade lawyer as well. I completed my training in Vienna, Austria in 2019. I'm currently the executive director within the Radiation Protection Board. And of course, I've been a diplomat, having been in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs department. And one of my passions is in entrepreneurship and business development. So I'm the co-founder in private companies in construction and agriculture. I streamlined my presentation just to concentrate on these two authorities their main mandate is within investment and trade, and thus the Ministry of Trade and Industry and the Lesotho National Development Corporation, LNDC in short. Later on, I have also incorporated the slides on investment and trade in Lesotho from the LNDC, so I'll go through that as well. In terms of the legal framework from Lesotho, business registration and licensing is done within the Companies Act of 2011 and the accompanying regulations of 2012. And we have what we call one-stop shop in terms of registering a business and getting your standard model articles and particulars of the company ready. And this can be done online and the turnaround, it's literally within a week, within 4 days, you go online, you register a business, and you have your license within a week. You also have the Business and Licensing Registration Act of 2019 and the accompanying regulations of 2020. And the objective is to promote the private sector development and to include all types of business within the formal business sector. Next slide. There are exceptions whereby this kind of authorities, they do not need to register their business through the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and these are the statutory authorities or any other body that is established by any law, meaning this kind of authorities, their registrations and licensing and how they are regulated will be within the ambit of the law that is establishing them. And hawkers also and street vendors are exempted from the legal requirements. They are just given permits under the marketing regulations, and businesses, of course, like taxi drivers and subsistence farmers. And because of this, recently we have had, I would say, farming hasn't been subjected to heavy regulations by the government. Next slide, please. The slide on external company, because I believe our audience today, they are much interested in terms of how do they register the external companies in Lesotho. Establish a business in Lesotho. And these are individuals that are not citizens to Lesotho, or it could be a partnership in which the majority of the partners are not citizens of Lesotho, or a company in which 30% or more of the shareholders are not citizens of Lesotho. So the requirements are you complete a form online. Wherever you are, you can just go online, as I've said, and you complete the process for application of a business permit. And you should also submit or upload online a business plan that should detail how many Basotho you're going to employ and how your business is going to transfer the skills to the locals. Further, you have to indicate how the business is going to advance the economy of Lesotho. And there needs to be a letter of intent also from one of our local insurance companies that indicates employees in compliance with the Workmen's Compensation Act. And there's another requirement that a foreign company should have a proof of funds in Lesotho, around 112,000. Showcase the corporate social responsibility. And all these requirements, one can get assistance from one of our officers from the Ministry of Trade and Industry. You can make a call, you can make an email, you can text. You don't necessarily have to travel all the way to Lesotho to get assistance in terms of meeting all the requirements. Next slide, please. Continuation on the external company. So if foreign business, it is not allowed to engage in some of the partners with a wholly owned business or an indigenous citizen, meaning a foreign business, if it wants to enter the market within these reserved activities, you can register a joint venture under the Ministry of Trade and Industry, or you can register a partnership, or you can establish a new company altogether, whereby the shareholding is from Lesotho. Next slide, please. Now looking into the Ministry of Trade and Industry. So they, as I've said, they incorporate the private and public companies. They also incorporate a non-profit company. As well, they incorporate the external companies. And I should perhaps indicate that even for a non-profit company, that in Lesotho or could still collaborate with business licensing. For instance, licensing to export. If you have established a manufacturing hub in Lesotho, for instance, for a license for exporting, for manufacturing license, for marketing license, for work permits, residence permit, and tax registration. These are just amongst the services that one can get online through the. I have given I've indicated also the fees for registering an external company, the foreign company. It's not more than $30 US, external company. I mean, internal company not more than $30 and external company not more than $50. And there's a fee which is rather at a high rate for companies that wants to deal in motor vehicles or gambling or betting, and this is like not more than $2,800. And so call a one single window system, where a client will be issued a certificate of incorporation, a business extract, business permit, and business identification card, and a trader's license. Currently, this hasn't been established. And is trying to attract investors outside, try to exporting easier for companies. And recently for company registration, whereby the shareholders are within the age of 35 and downwards, which is youth, the government of Lesotho has exempted such registration fees, requirements like having a lease agreement, for instance. It is no longer required. And it is one of the ways that the government is trying to make it easier for youth to be within the entrepreneurship and even attract foreign companies to do joint ventures with the youth-led companies in Lesotho. Next slide, please. Okay, so now I'll talk about the Lesotho National Development Corporation. It was a start amended. It is a parastatal, and its mandate is to and indicate, for instance, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, where I come from. And they do this also with different ministries, for instance, science and technology or health, or any relevant ministry at the point in time concerning any multilateral agreement or regional or bilateral agreement. And one of the mandate also is within the development finance. Next slide, please. So I've incorporated the presentation that they did recently at the Osaka World Expo this year. I believe so in this slide, it showcases the direction of the exports from Lesotho. So from Lesotho to Asia, that there is ample advantage access that market, more so in the wake of the tariffs from the US. We have seen a sort of an increase whereby Asian countries are open now to African countries in terms of access to the markets and vice versa. And we believe within the next decade, this kind of a slide, for instance, or this percentages will definitely change. And to Africa, currently, most, and of course, we are looking into increasing the numbers within SADC, within the continent as well. And North Africa is 30% and Europe is 38%. And you can realize that in Europe, it is increasing. And after the week of the tariffs imposed by the US, we have seen we have seen a sort of open market, from Europe to increase our exports, and Lesotho has market in Europe, which makes it attractive for investors which want to establish manufacturing companies in Lesotho for export purposes, to even export to Europe. And the next slide there is the
Hi, Martha. Martha,
Yes.
we have quite a lot to go. We still have quite a bit of things to do, Q&A, and then Neil, I don't know if
Okay.
you could round up quickly so that it seems we
All
were
right.
going about an hour. I'll have
Okay,
to
I'll
apologize
keep
to everyone. We were hoping to round up in about just over an hour, but please, if you can, just stay a bit longer.
Okay,
So that we can
noted.
ask questions. Thank you very much. Martha, thank you.
Thank you. So the next slide gives you the top imports from the world and the top exports to the world. You can see that Lesotho exports most of its diamonds and textile, wool and mohair, electrical components and cotton. And these are some of the areas whereby it's an opportunity for investors outside to establish manufacturing companies in Lesotho for export purposes. We have seen a larger interest, for instance, within trout, harvesting trout in Lesotho and exporting it to the European market. Next slide. Basically, the next slides simply indicate why invest macroeconomic environment, free enterprise, free market economic system, meaning there is no interference from the government. Next slide. We also have a stable water supply and very low utility costs, whereby our electrical unit, it's less than 0.1% US dollar. So it's relatively very low. Next slide. This slide basically show the tax compliance support that we give to our investors. We have dispute resolution mechanisms within the country. We have tax treaties and trade agreements, like the prevention of the double taxation, which is very attractive for investors wanting to establish manufacturing companies in Lesotho. Next slide, please. The slide also has within the market abroad, within the SACU, within Europe, and within some of the Asian countries like China, for instance. There's now 0% tariff for products from Africa, and Lesotho is one of such countries who are exempted. Next slide, please. This slide, labor supply, which is about 60%. Labor literacy and that we have skilled, productive youth. Next slide.
Yeah, Martha, please, you'll have to round up. As I said,
okay,
we're supposed to end at the top of the hour, and
okay.
we still have Neil from Mozambique.
Yes, I think we
said
can go towards the end.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, having said that, we may not be able to take Q&A directly. We may have to ask people, our participants to send Q&A questions by email, and we'll take care of it and respond to them. Is that okay? Sorry, go ahead. Doug, were you about to say something?
Yes, we can go.
Yeah. Maybe just take another minute and wrap up, and then we'll just keep moving forward and take Q&A through the chat area, and so that just so we can continue. Nihi, I don't think we need to absolutely cut out at the top of the hour, do we? We can go a little bit over, right?
Okay, no problem. No problem at all.
Yeah, but if you could just take up just another minute and wrap up, that would be awesome. A really great presentation. Thank you for sharing today. Oh, please go ahead and finish up on your presentation.
Sorry, Matapelo, can you hear us?
Oh, she may be locked up.
I think she's frozen.
Well, oh, and we lost her.
Oh, she's gone.
Okay, well, Lihi, why don't you keep us moving, and great presentations and information so far, and we look forward to the other speakers.
So we could proceed to the next speaker, and we can bring in Matapelo to finish the slide part that was remaining.
All right, let's go ahead.
So
Neil,
I'm gonna introduce Dr. Neil Manuel, who will be standing in for Wanda Hanwana today. Dr. Neil is a lawyer in Mozambique, a registered lawyer at the Bar Association of Mozambique, and also a qualified arbitrator. So I'm gonna let Dr. Neil introduce himself further, if there's anything else we need to be updated on, and take us through the process of foreign investment in Mozambique and the benefits of such. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I am Neil Manuel. I'm lawyer from Mozambique. I'm here to represent Wanda Wana Advocates. She's not able to be here because she has got another things to do. She gave me this opportunity to be talking with you. I'm going straight to the point. To talk about investment in Mozambique.
Importa dizer que em Moçambique é possível abrir qualquer empresa sem que tenha investimento estrangeiro.
It's important to say that in Mozambique it's possible to open each company without before investment.
Aprovados pelas instituições competentes.
It means it's not necessary to be approved with the government statements.
Como também é possível abrir uma empresa.
Also, it's possible to open a company
E submeter o projeto de investimento.
and submit the project of investment in other time.
E neste caso, há certos benefícios criados pela nossa lei de investimento.
Yes, so for this case, it's possible to have some benefit. The government here in Mozambique provides some benefit for these cases.
Como, por exemplo, o envio de fundos para o exterior.
The company which is open here in Mozambique can send the funds for other countries.
Envio de fundos para o pagamento de empréstimos solicitados no exterior para o investimento em Moçambique.
Can also send the funds to pay what have asked in order to invest in Mozambique.
Por outro lado, temos benefícios também aduaneiros.
Also, we have some benefits in concerns of taxes when you pass the border, things like this.
Como, por exemplo, a isenção do pagamento de direitos aduaneiros e do IVA.
Yes, some benefits. It's like the company can be out of paying some fees during some years of working.
Nos primeiros 5 anos de exercício fiscal.
For example, in the first 5 years of working, can benefit in 8%
Por
of
outro,
tax.
por outro lado, o nosso governo moçambicano, assim como a lei de investimento,
Our government,
o governo moçambicano, assim como a lei de investimento, investment law,
the investment law in our government
proporcionam que, portanto, os investidores
give possibility for investors
tenham uma taxa mais elevada relativamente à dedução do IRPC,
that have increased tax,
como, por exemplo, a dedução de 80% nos primeiros 5 anos de exercício,
in the 5 years of working can be reduced in 8% of fees.
do 5º ano até o 10º ano, há uma redução de 25%,
In 6 years until 10 years can benefit in reductions of 6%.
do 12º ano até o 15º ano, há uma redução de 25%.
From 11 years to 15 years can benefit in reduce of 25%.
Conforme pode-se ver, há uma tentativa do governo em criar um ambiente propício de negócio,
As we see, the government provide good environments for good investment in Mozambique.
Por que investir em Moçambique e quais são as áreas que melhor se investem em Moçambique neste momento?
Why we can invest or people can invest in Mozambique, and in which area people from outside can invest in Mozambique?
Moçambique é um país rico em recursos minerais,
Mozambique is rich in mineral resources and also in many things like petrol, like coals, like
petróleo. Portanto, existem vários negócios que estão sendo atraídos para Moçambique por conta destas descobertas.
yes, there are many people who are here to negotiate because of these possibilities.
Exemplo, temos a Total da França,
For example, we have here Total from France,
a ExxonMobil dos Estados Unidos,
ExxonMobil from United States,
a Síria da Austrália,
Sia from Australia.
que tem estado aqui a explorar, portanto, os nossos recursos minerais.
They are here and then they are working in these areas.
Com a chegada destas multinacionais,
Because they are here working,
tem atraído milhões de dólares a títulos de investimento,
they bring here millions of dollars,
o que de certa forma propicia outro tipo de negócio,
and because of that, it's possible to have another kind of business.
como por exemplo, fornecimento de maquinaria pesada,
For example, to bring some big machines for big projects.
na área de transporte também temos tido trabalhos,
And also in transport area, we have many jobs here.
hotelaria.
Hotels.
Por outro lado,
In other hands,
Moçambique tem uma longa costa no Oceano Índico,
Mozambique has got a long coast and in Indian Ocean,
o que permite que os países gozem dos nossos portos,
that give possibility for many countries to use our ports.
como por exemplo o Porto de Nacala,
For example, Nacala Port,
o Porto da Beira,
Beira
e
Port,
o Porto de Maputo,
Maputo Port,
o que propicia negócio a nível logístico e de transporte.
which provide good business for transport and the logistics.
Portanto, estes são um dos benefícios que a atração do negócio estrangeiro, do negócio estrangeiro possa ter aqui em Moçambique.
This is one of the benefits that people from outside or foreign countries can invest in Mozambique.
Por outro lado, Moçambique é membro da SADC.
In other hand, Mozambique is a ADC member,
O que permite que o negócio flua a nível da região com muita facilidade.
which permit that the business can go spread all region in Africa,
Assim como tem acordos com a União Europeia e, portanto, os Estados Unidos,
which has has a great agreement with the United States and other countries and other places.
o que permite maior interação entre Moçambique e estes países.
It permits that Mozambique has got good connection with these countries.
Portanto, esta é uma outra forma, é um dos benefícios que se pode ter com investimentos em Moçambique.
So it's good to have investment in Mozambique because of all of these possibilities.
Conforme já dizia anteriormente,
As I told before,
a bacia a bacia de gás, a descoberta do gás natural,
the discovery of gas in the NAF
tem propiciado muitos e muitos negócios cá neste país.
help and bring many business here in Mozambique
O que traz vários tipos de negócio para este país.
and bring different kinds of business in Mozambique.
Portanto, pode-se investir em várias áreas.
It is possible to invest in Mozambique in different areas.
A nossa lei de investimentos
Our law, our rules of investments
tem tido propiciado muitas e muitas garantias, portanto, de segurança ao negócio estrangeiro em Moçambique.
help and give security for people from outside to have business in Mozambique,
O que garante que vários países e várias empresas venham para Moçambique para investir.
which is guarantee for these countries to come to Mozambique to invest.
Portanto, na área da agricultura,
In agricultural area,
também é uma área muito importante e de muita valia para o investimento.
is also a good area and big to be invested in Mozambique.
Portanto, esta conexão entre Moçambique e outros países permite que se exporte o milho, permite que se exporte a soja, permite que se exporte outras hortícolas, outros recursos de muita valia e muita importância.
This good connection with other accounts permit that it's possible to export many different products from Mozambique.
Olhando para a questão dos nossos recursos minerais,
If we see our minor records,
temos empresas grandes como a Síria da Austrália,
we have big companies like Sirius from Australia,
que têm explorado o grafite
which explore graphite
para o fabrico de baterias, para os veículos eletrônicos.
to produce battery, and also it's used for electronic cars and more other things.
Portanto, é uma das áreas que mais tem se explorado. A empresa Tesla dos Estados Unidos também tem cá estado a fazer essa exploração.
It's one of the areas that many countries can be here to invest. We have also Tesla from United States who is exploring this area.
Portanto, tanto a regulamentação do ponto de vista legal,
Even the law, I mean the rules in concerns of Mozambique rules,
assim também como a questão do ambiente político, econômico,
even the political environment and the economy
propicia oportunidades de negócio neste país.
help people who wants to invest and to have business in Mozambique.
Conforme já dizia,
As I told,
há várias áreas de exploração. Portanto, Moçambique ainda é um país virgem e pode-se explorar muito.
There are many possibilities here in Mozambique. There are many areas that if someone wants to invest here can come and invest and have possibilities, and it's easy. It's easy. The government facilitates many things to be done here in Mozambique.
Conforme podem perceber, a quanto do início desta minha explanação,
As you can understand from my first, when I was starting to explain,
existem taxas reduzidas para o pagamento do RPC,
there is fees, reduced fees to pay the tax,
o que permite que haja maior investimento em Moçambique sem perder dinheiro.
which help that we can have big investment here in Mozambique without losing money.
Portanto, quais são os custos do investimento estrangeiro em Moçambique?
What are the real costs to invest in Mozambique?
Portanto, para responder esta
Welcome.
questão,
Please, we need to round up if you don't mind. We need to round up. Thank you.
portanto, as nossas leis estão devidamente regulamentadas para o investimento, para propiciar o investimento em Moçambique.
Yes, our rules is good and it's made in order to help to people who wants to invest in Mozambique.
Portanto, é dos grandes benefícios que temos quanto ao investimento em Moçambique.
This is one of the big benefits to invest in Mozambique.
Portanto, esta é a minha primeira abordagem relativamente a esta questão e posteriormente poderemos discutir a nível das questões que me serão feitas.
This is my first explanation about this subject. Maybe in other time I can be able to explain you more other things.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Neil. And I think I would let, we are supposed to take the Q&As, but as we can all see, the time is not on our side. So we will be taking the Q&As in the chat or in the email that has been shared in the chat. Please take note. So from here, I would let my fellow need to continue, and it seems like there are some announcements or closing remarks from Doug or Cesar. So I would let Nee take it over from here and guide us on the same.
Yeah, Matapelo had not concluded her presentation. If you can do that in 2 minutes, then we'll also give the opportunity for Jeff to also say 1 or 2 things. Is that possible, Matapelo? Thank you.
Yes, Nee, and no need to project again slides. They are very elaborative. I think I was left with only about 2 slides, basically just to showcase areas where there's a huge culture. Just a month or 2 ago, Lesotho hosted a hydrogen conference in Lesotho, which was honestly one of the first that we have done. So Lesotho has a huge appetite in terms of attracting investors in clean energy, and hydrogen is one of them. Within solar, within wind, within hydropower as well. And so anybody who has questions or wants to engage further, they can contact me through the email. Thank you, Nee, and thank you, Naomi.
Thank you so much, Matapelo. This is Finette. I'm standing in for Naomi today. So I'll let Nee guide us on the announcements or closing remarks, which should be coming from Doug or Cesar. kindly take us through Nii. I'll give it back to you. I don't know if Nii is here.
Nii, are you there?
Or we could just call in Doug or Cesar to give us
Sure.
some closing remarks or any other announcement that we may need to take for our takeout or for the next preparation for our next event.
Wonderful. Cesar, would you like to say some words? I think this has been an inspiring and very informative session. I'm happy to say a few words, but Cesar, did you have any comments?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Yeah, sure. No, thank you. Thank you all for the information. I think we cover Africa very often, like every month, even twice per month we're covering Africa. But learning about Botswana, Lesotho, Mozambique has been great because I think there's other countries that we haven't covered in the recent past. So I appreciate Nii for putting this together, and I look forward to tomorrow's conversation. So I invite everyone to make sure they join us tomorrow for the continuation of this. Thanks again.
Thank you. And I'll just add that this, to me, is really inspiring. I just love the conversations. I love the information that was shared. I love the sincerity and earnestness and professionalism that it honestly takes to do business generally, and certainly to do the kinds of things that we all know are possible in this region for the future. Already so much progress has been made. The first step is always the hardest, and then the work, the collaboration, the investment, the education, the training, the working together. And so thank you for all of you. And Nii, thank you for your leadership if you've come back into the room to bring us together in this collaboration for this meeting, which sets the stage for future success, hopefully for all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doug. Appreciate all the speakers, Jeff and Finance as well. So we'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, we have party tomorrow. And hopefully, you'll be here. Everyone will be here. Yeah, thank you.
How would you characterize part two? How will part two be different than part one?
Well, definitely the countries are going to be different. Tomorrow we have South Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe, all lined up for even additional insight to what we've learned today. And I look forward to having the speakers as well tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have another engaging session as well tomorrow.
You know, one of the people in the room that spoke today, Jeff Dar, never ceases to amaze me. He's based in Los Angeles, and he can talk very articulately about the economy and the business in Los Angeles, or music, or wine, or any topic that you'd want. He works actively in 35 plus countries, and his articulation of some of the real key issues related to investment and the background on the legal side today. Jeff, again, you always inspire. Thank you for your leadership always. Jeff is our Global Chamber Los Angeles Advisory Board Chair Emeritus because of an amazing job he did to build the chapter to where it is. He's turned the chair over, but he'll always be recognized as the Emeritus Chair because of his leadership, not just with Global Chamber. He's a leader within the community on many levels and now in the world. Thank you, Jeff, for all that you do. And everybody, I look forward to tomorrow's conversation as well.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Have a nice one. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. And hopefully tomorrow the questions can be taken in context, the questions that we have being shown to participants. can be brought in by the speakers tomorrow. For example, what are the challenges? Because even when investing, the speakers have presented the goods, but also show us like what are the challenges, what are the delays that are likely to be experienced by external investors, being that this is an international forum. And also, so if we take the questions and incorporate them so that we don't have a lot of questions building up. So that is what we would be different tomorrow.
That's a great idea. Will you be coordinating with Nihi in terms of the timing for tomorrow?
Yes, I still will be coordinating with Nihi, and Naomi will in tomorrow. So we'll be the three of us, and it will be better.
And are you expecting tomorrow's program will be an hour?
Yes, it will be the same duration.
Okay. So we may want to allocate a little bit more time and let people know, but you would maybe you let us know from your conversations with Nihi. But thank you for your creativity there.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nihi. Let me close out. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Jem, for putting this together. I know you're very busy. Take care.
Thank you.